Wow, that was perfectly on sync on my end. It was, you two were truly destined to be a team. Now, it's been a hot second, I think, since we last spoke. I'm sure lots of things have changed during COVID.
Yeah, we're
No, not at all. What are you talking about?
we're living our best lives right now, aren't we all flourishing? Certainly.
Exactly. Now, since I do have two guests on, why don't we briefly just introduce each other? We'll start with you, Erica. Just brief intro.
I am Erica Mendez. I do voice acting for a living, and I own 2 cats.
How do you get into that? But no, okay.
Owning cats? Well,
First, you have a friend who finds these strays under in their husband's car, and then you save them, and because you're worried that that maybe that's
that is the only way to get cats.
Yeah, it is.
Got it.
It really is.
And how about you, sir? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Lucien Dodge. I'm also a voice actor. I also do voice direction and script adaptation for localization projects from time to time.
Cool. But not that boring stuff. What have you been up to? What have you been up to in your spare time? Anything? Watching anything? Playing anything?
Well,
anything good?
This is dangerous because we had not seen it until recently, and we're like, nobody talk about it, or no spoilers. We can't read anything. We did actually watch WandaVision. We did.
Okay.
Finally
What'd you
catch
think?
up. I liked it. Yeah, I really liked
Yeah.
it. I actually, Erica mentioned something again, not to give too much away or anything, but Erica had mentioned that she thought she liked some of the middle episodes more than like the end, which I think I understand that. I think I actually agree because there's a certain I don't know, mystery or intrigue, which I mean, I think the whole thing is very fun, but there was something kind of that kind of I don't know, certain ambiguousness, or you're just trying to piece piece things together, and that was kind of cool, and the atmosphere that came from that. So
for me, I agree. I think by the end, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it becomes more typical of what Marvel does by the end.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Which is fine.
It's perfectly fun.
It wasn't bad. It just it was kind of like not as exciting as the middle stuff.
It wasn't as.
I think people are expecting to get dick punched with emotion at the end.
For sure.
And
It's fine. I mean,
it's fine.
Not everything needs that.
Yeah,
They've got 20 other movies in the universe that they have a chance for that with, I guess.
I would have actually liked for them to do something a little more maybe adventurous, but what I enjoyed the most during it was I loved the homages to like Modern Family. Like, in fact, when we started watching it, I was like, when I saw what they were doing, I was like, I cannot wait for a Malcolm in the Middle one.
Oh,
I didn't know they were going to do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, they're totally going to do one, and it was so good. That to me was the funniest and like the most enjoyable part was like seeing just how well they captured each period, and of course the mystery and the everything on top of that.
When you first started watching it, were you like pretty much like, yeah, okay, this is definitely not quite sure what's going on here, but I'm in for the ride? Or was it like, what the hell is this?
When the show was even announced, even before, because actually me and Anne-Marie just we almost watched it, I think did we watch it in a sitting? Like, we basically just sat down and watched almost the entire thing at once, but because we were just enjoying it that much. But back when the show was first announced, I had a guess. I was like, okay, knowing what I know about, because you two are you two current on the movies? Are you
pretty current?
I haven't seen a good chunk of them, but I think I've seen a lot of the major ones.
Did you watch like Endgame? And,
I actually have not seen Endgame yet.
Did you watch Infinity War?
I did see Infinity War.
Okay, so it's like based on how certain characters end up, I was like, okay, the premise of this show is odd, and I'm like, okay, so this is my guess on what's happening. and I was kind of right. I didn't expect some stuff that was kind of near the end, but the overall idea was like, oh no, this is pretty similar to what I thought. Without spoiling anything, my guess was like it's gonna be like. Did you both watch Gurren Lagann?
Kind of. I don't
No, I
remember
didn't.
much about it, but
No?
I'm pretty sure I did.
What the hell's wrong with you two? You don't.
Can't watch all of them. There's a lot.
That's true. I guess you can't watch all of them. There's a well, I guess never mind. I'll shut up then about Gurren Lagann. But there was a prediction I had, and it turned out to be pretty on. So it wasn't. As soon as I watched the first episode, I wasn't like, "What the fuck's going on?" I was like, "Okay, interesting."
See-
they're kind of going with what I thought is going to happen. And I had also read there's a comic series, The Vision, which this show takes inspiration from because it's like the Vision living like a suburban life with like he like makes a family of visions. It's really weird, but
Okay. Yeah.
that sort of vibe was also kind of like okay. I'm expecting something maybe a little bit along those lines as well. But
So
sorry, what were you about to say?
So even before we saw it, I actually was talking to my mom one day, and I was asking her, you guys watch anything? And she said, oh, we watched we were watching WandaVision, and they did not get it. They're like, what is this? Like, this is so bad. Like, we grew up with, like the Dick Van Dyke Show, and we know, we get it's like a takeoff of that, but like, and she's like, and the canned laughter, like, it's just so, like, it did not, she didn't get it. And even having not seen any of it, I also had a theory, and I just said to her, well, you know what? Watch all of like the first 2 episodes. I would say watch all the first 2 episodes. If you still don't get it, then okay. But because she's the type who she does not want spoilers. She doesn't want to know anything about a show. She wants to go in completely fresh and be surprised by everything. So there were no preconceptions. She didn't have any ideas about what could be happening behind the scenes. So
Is
it just
she
completely
familiar
baffled.
with the movies?
She's watched the movies, yeah. But
Okay, so she knew who like Vision and Scarlet Witch were.
yeah, but she's like,
Okay.
but it's like, so what? So
I see.
my mom and dad just totally, like, this sucks, and I just told her like, watch a little more. Yeah, I don't want to tell you anything or because I feel like I might be right, but just watch a little more. And it might make sense why it is the way it is. So I still have to check in with her to see if that happened.
It's one of the most ambitious things they've ever done creatively.
Yeah, which I appreciate
I agree, yeah.
very much.
Yeah, like up there with like Thor Ragnarok, because in terms of complete tonal shift from what they usually do, like usually you get a bunch of pew pews and little wisecracks, right? Like that's what most Marvel movies are, but. This one, I loved the approach. I loved the production. The acting is great.
Oh yeah, no, Elizabeth Olsen is awesome.
Yeah, it was just a treat. Like, it's gonna be hard for to see what the follow up shows because they're gonna be very different in tone. Like this next one, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, they just started that one. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I have no idea if it's any good, but. WandaVision is going to be a tough act to follow, I think, but we'll see. Yeah. And I'm curious also how, because she's going to show up in the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And I'm wondering how that will, because that's clearly going to be connected in some way, and we'll see. I'm curious. Lucien, I was actually about to text you, but I guess since you're here, I'll just say it to your face. Or not your face. Have you played Abzu?
No.
We have
that's
it.
been on. We do have it. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we got it on PS Plus or something.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I haven't yet, but I love Journey. Journey is one of my favorite games.
Right.
Of all time. It's such a simple. It's a simple and short game, but just the art style. And yeah, the exploration and the music by Austin Wintory, so good. And I believe he composes the music for Abzu. I would
He
think.
composes the music for Abs, and he's the director, I believe.
Oh, he's
of
the
the
director.
game.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's beautiful. It's only like an hour or two long, like maybe like 2 hours tops. But it's fantastic. I played it like the other morning. And yep, you're basically, I won't say too much, but you're basically starting out, you're just an underwater diver, and you're just, exploring underwater and interacting with fish and stuff like that. And beautiful music, the presentation's gorgeous, like, you're just free roaming through these, big ocean spaces and looking around. And it gets to really, like, it's emotionally affecting.
Yeah.
Like, if you like Journey, this is a no-brainer.
Is there?
It's just water Journey, basically.
I obviously won't ask too much, but do you like Journey? Do you get a companion, or can you meet another?
I feel like
diver?
that's spoiling.
You think that's spoiling? Okay,
Yes,
fine.
I think that's
I
spoiling.
won't say
Okay,
anything.
okay.
Because I'm just gonna say just
Well,
yeah, just
some of
play.
the biggest emotional impact is when you get the partner. I
Well,
think.
but it's so randomized, at least in mine. Because so when I played Journey, I don't even somehow, I don't even think I met up with a single partner through my whole first playthrough.
Well,
And
it's not somehow. It's like people have to be playing the game at the same time as you.
I know, but there's always someone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
Not
pretty
always.
dedicated. Every time I
We
played
played
the
it
game,
way later after it came out, though.
I was surprised though because I played it even later than him, and even I had people.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah,
no,
I mean, I
one or-
did
one or
too
two
when I
people,
played it. I
yeah.
think no, you played it first, Lucian. I think, but
No, every
people.
playthrough, and even this was long after it came out. I've always had a companion since then. And I forget if this is the case. Maybe the first playthrough you actually can't meet up with another one. I
no,
forget.
that's not.
No.
No, you can.
Oh, you can?
You
Okay.
can.
Because I did.
Well, then for somehow, or maybe if there was, they were always like off screen, so I never noticed.
Nobody wanted to be your Journey friend. Just
Yeah, it's that dislikable. But one of the reasons I love that game is because I had two distinct like experiences playing the game because of the companion element, where one of the playthroughs I had played it a few times, and the other person I ran into was clearly less experienced, and so I'm like helping them and showing them where the the glowing glyphs are and everything, and I'm kind of like the guide for them. And then the next time or another time I played, the other person was clearly more knowledgeable, and they're like showing me all of the hidden stuff, like really like out of the way stuff. And I remember like sticking with this companion for like the whole game, and we get to the end, and we get to that ending section, and going into the light, and with the music, and I just felt like so emotionally like moved, and that's why I love that game.
Yeah. Yeah, check out Abzu. It's great. I would recommend that. And then I'm not technically done with it, but I think you'd appreciate have you played Her Story?
No, I have not.
Were you not there when we played it at Laura's?
Oh wait, that now yeah,
we
that's
did it
the
as
one,
like a group.
yeah, with the videotapes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I do remember.
I'm
that
not
game.
done with it, although I'm almost done with it. I can tell, but just general. What did you think?
I thought it was really cool. I thought it was like such a simple, like, I mean, gameplay wise, right? It's pretty simple, right? But I guess the narrative and how it's kind of making you have to put the pieces together and figure it out was really neat. Yeah, and the story within it.
It's funny you mentioned playing it in a group. After, like, once I'm done with it, because like probably today at some point I'm just gonna go through. I want to think I'm maybe, I don't know, 70-80% done. Like, so I'm not gonna say anything else for the listeners about this game. Just go play it. Like, it's fucking great. But yeah, you're basically listening, or you're watching like little snippets of videotapes of a woman's interview for over like a crime, basically, and like police tapes. And as I'm playing this, I'm like, I want to watch other people play this. Like, I want to like see, oh, how do you uncover the story when you play it? And how do you, that to me is so would be so interesting. Like similar to like you ever play like Stanley Parable?
No.
Nope.
Ooh, Stanley Parable is great. If you like these artsy fartsy games like I do, which you seem to do, check out Stanley Parable. Don't look up anything about it. Just play it. Or maybe one day I'll watch you play it. I don't know, whatever, and I'll jack off to it. No,
Oh no.
That escalated quickly.
As soon as I played it, because it's such just a genius game, and it's so strange. I was like, Anne-Marie, you gotta play. I need to see what you do during this game, because without saying anything, like you can end the game in very different ways, and it's a very meta sort of game. So really fun to like watch people play it or ask like, what happened in your first playthrough, or what did you do? Because you can have completely different answers depending on how you approach it. So yeah, you should check that out.
There's a game actually I've been wanting to play with friends as a group play thing called the Oprah Din. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, I haven't played it, but that's you're on the ship and it's like all black and white.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. And you're
Heard
again,
of
it's
that
another one
one.
of those like figuring out what happened and you have to.
Did you play it?
No, I haven't played it yet. I wanted I want to play it with friends and kind of like group think it together. Obviously, it would have been ideal to do it, all us together in person. Now, at this point, I guess I'd settle for a Zoom call playthrough of it. I don't know, but I still want to do that with friends. But if you haven't played it, then you should get in on that. Then
Yeah, no, I've heard good things. I would like to play it. Let's see what else has been. I feel like when we catch up, it's just us going, "Have you played this? Have you seen this? Have you played this?" Which I love. Like that's I always like hearing what people are consuming. Through, I believe I've told you in the past that we've been doing like a weekly anime night, right? Where we watch like an episode a week of shows that people bring in, and that's helped me like fill in a lot of blank spots. Like, you ever watch like Tatami Galaxy?
Nope.
I finally watched that. Karekano. You ever see that?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I don't watch a lot, so.
Have you guys seen any anime? I don't know.
No, I've never.
Okay.
What is anime actually?
That's
I
the
don't
stuff
even.
I've worked on.
Well, even then.
Did I talk to you already, Erica, about how I watched all the Love Live? I don't think we've talked about this yet.
Saw on your Twitter that you had finally watched all of it so that you could properly rank all of the girls.
Which I did.
And you did. I watched the video. I
Yeah,
was
and
slightly disappointed, but I will accept
By what?
by your choices. But I will accept that they are your opinion, and I don't agree with them.
I would love to hear what you disagreed on the most.
I mean, Kotori isn't number one, so there's the first biggest problem.
Okay. I kind of like interesting characters.
You know,
so
you count.
Yeah.
I think we have a very, very different opinion on what is interesting. Because
let's get into it. I'd love to get into it.
No.
No? Oh, coward. All right. You can tell me afterwards then. Okay. I will
I just
say
don't want to
though,
shit on anyone's favorite girl in public.
Coward.
Yeah,
okay.
that's me.
Well, I'll say this then. I really liked the anime. Because you've seen it, right?
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen all of them.
I'm talking about at least School Idol Project.
Yeah, School Idol Project for sure. Yeah, no, I love that one.
It was great. Like I say this as someone who had played the phone game for years, but for some reason I was like, the anime, I'll get her.
I was too, honestly. Like, yeah, I totally get that.
But then I sat down and I was like, oh shit, this is way better than I thought. Like,
yeah, there's way more substance than you'd think.
way more substance. I think it helps that it's written by Juki Hanada, who he wrote the scripts for one of my other favorite anime, Sound Euphonium, which I love, and Steins Gate. He's a great script writer, and I think it really shows in Love Live and Love Live Sunshine, actually. Like, I don't know how you feel about the Sunshine Girls, but that anime is fucking good. It's really, really good.
I believe it, and I know that there are a lot of people that like it, but for me, like, I just have such a deep connection to the Muse Girls that I just can't bring myself to even give the other seasons a try, even though I've kind of been wanting to. But I don't know, it just makes me sad because I watched the Final Live. I bought the Final Live set and like watched both days, and it like tore me up. And the fact that like I mean, they did have that like reunion concert or whatever with like all three groups, which was cool to hear about, because not that I could see it, but or no, I did watch we went to the theater and saw the viewing there, actually. So but just the fact that like we only get that sort of thing back from Muse is like kind of sad to me. But I get like those girls had to move on because they're getting older and they need like their own careers and stuff. They can't be just tied to that group.
Run. I mean,
they do. They're fine. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a good run.
Yeah,
I would say if you can get past, your Muse biases.
Yeah, I know.
I will say Sunshine is actually fantastic. It's like I was kind of with you in that I had a stronger attachment to the Muse Girls, but I think what Sunshine does is it's just a really interesting like an emotional take on it. Like so. At some point, just keep it in the back of your mind at some point and check it out. Yeah. I will say the Nijigasaki one, it's fine. You really need to watch that one. It's fine. It's not nearly as good as the others, but at least Sunshine, you should give it a shot sometime. Okay. Now, is there anything that you guys want to bring up? Any topics or questions for me, or anything that springs to mind? Now's your chance.
Oh man, we may never get this chance again.
Oh no.
Better make it count.
People are not permitted to ask me questions usually, so this
wow.
Yeah. This is the luxury. No, I'm kidding. But I usually will, each episode at some point, let the guests bring up something if they would like. If not, don't worry about it. We can just talk about nerdy shit some more.
Yeah. But, I don't know. It's been weird, over the past year, obviously, just in general. But like I really miss. Yeah, me. I don't like going out very much. Sure. I don't particularly. I don't want to say I don't particularly like board games, but it just takes a lot for me to like actually sit down and play with people. But I would play every once in a while when we went to your game night, depending on what game it was. And I miss that. I do miss that. And I know you guys do like over the internet board games, or online board games is the right way to say that, Erica. Jeez. Words
board games over the web is what we call it.
Exactly.
Web gaming.
Yeah, web gaming, yeah. But like I don't know. I know it's a good substitute, but I just can't see it being like quite the same.
Oh, it's definitely not the same. Yeah, I sorely miss.
I do miss game
board
nights.
Game nights. Listen, once it's safe to do so.
Oh sure.
My God, a storm is a coming.
How many new games have you collected? I saw you just got the actual copy of Perudo.
Okay, so I got Perudo,
which I will not play again ever. I'm just saying now.
That's funny. Let's see. In terms of games, okay, well, review games aside, because I get sent so many games to review. Just games I want to play. Oh God, there's the living room behind the couch is just there are stacks, and Emery's like, you gotta stop buying games, and I'm like, no. So I keep buying them because I'm like, once I'm allowed, the avalanche will occur, and I'm just gonna be having people over like clockwork. So I'm guessing My prediction is, without going out there right now and just counting, probably maybe I want to say 30 games, like
oh my
30.
God.
And that's not including like review games or anything like that. So
Right.
it's something. Listen, if you miss board game nights, think about how much I miss board
I
game
can
nights. But
only imagine.
I'm
Have
also
you-
really glad to hear though that you enjoy them
Well,
because
for me, it's like not necessarily about playing. It's just kind of about the atmosphere.
sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I
miss
mean
it.
it's just nice to be around people.
Yeah. So you're not
Yeah.
just sitting home alone.
Well, even we, I remember hosting a board game evening at our place, and thinking, yeah,
Just
this was a lot of
before.
fun, and yeah, I definitely want to do this again. Like, and this isn't something that I normally do, but yeah, I'm gonna try to, get people together more at our new place, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, the pandemic happened. We had gotten our new place a few months before, and like literally had people over maybe 2-3 times, and then couldn't have people over anymore. And I'm just like, oh well, we got this huge couch that could fit like 9 people on it, and it is just the 2 of us and 2 cats.
Which,
Cool.
yeah, which don't get me wrong, it
It's
is nice to
fine.
have a new place, more space.
Yeah.
With all this going on, it certainly made certain things more bearable, more comfortable,
Yeah.
Sure.
rather.
Sure.
But yeah, we, as Erica mentioned, I mean, the both of us are kind of more introverted. So yeah, we're not
Homebodies.
as social as other people. But even we were like, friends are good, friends are cool, and yeah, let's hang out with friends more. And now we have a
Bigger space.
forum to
It's-
do that. And then the world was like, ha ha ha, I don't think so, buddy.
Right. But also, Lucian, you're definitely more enthused about the games in general, though. Like,
Yeah.
because I've had you over like quite a few times just for the games.
Yeah, I guess it depends, or sometimes it takes me a bit to warm up to certain games, or if it's a concept that's like, I feel like just in general learning things, it just takes me a little bit more time, and I'm easily confused. But yeah, once I get it, and then the social element, and especially if you get to, I don't know, role play or whatever, or just kind of be silly, then it's like whatever. Even if you're losing, it's still fun. So
What is the most complicated game I've made you play? I'm trying to remember. What's one where
Perudo.
you were like, oh my god, I can't.
Perudo.
handle this.
I feel no, actually Perudo was pretty like, okay, I get this.
I still do not.
I think the what's the one where you're making the you got to charge up the gates, and it's
Aeon Zen?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
Aeons is one of the more like, it takes, I always had to like have you reiterate like, okay, so wait, it's how many cards, and then we can do this, but only when this okay, and then when can we do, I always had to like have you run me through it like a
Did you
bit.
enjoy it?
Yeah, once it was like,
Yeah,
okay, it's
yeah.
all coming back to me, and I
Because
I
we
get it.
played. We used to run that a couple times.
Yeah, we did. We did a few. I think I don't think we ever won.
Oh, that's right. There was this one boss I kept trying to beat with like everyone I knew who was willing to play, and you and I got stomped every time. I would like to show you what it's like to win in that game.
Yeah. Oh
my
sometime.
God.
I would like to win.
Yeah, it's fun to win. Lately, well, not lately, but more recently, Anne-Marie and I were playing a lot because there's like campaign versions now where you play like a continuing story and you keep like your progress, and that's a pretty fun.
So it's basically like
twist on it.
D&D at that point, in a way.
Kind of, yeah. Basically, there's a whole subgenre of board games called legacy games that are like Pandemic Legacy, or there's even Betrayal Legacy or whatever, Risk Legacy, where you play multiple games, but permanent changes happen to the board, right? So like, oh, you put a sticker on this part of the board because it got destroyed, and now for the rest of your campaign, that region is gone, or something like that. Or you bought this card, you keep it in your deck forever. In the next game, you'll start with that card in your deck. Really, really like fun, like sort of spin on games, because it makes you go, okay, it makes you more invested in what happens, because you don't want bad things to happen, and you unlock more like material and stuff. Like usually legacy games will come with like 20 hidden like mystery boxes labeled like A through N, and it's like, oh, you've reached game 3, open box C and see what's inside, and then it'll usually be like, oh shit, like it adds a new rule, or it adds new like whatever, like a twist or something. There's like story twists or whatever.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's really, really fun.
Do you play chess?
Do you? I
used to play
very
a lot.
averagely. I know how to play, and I would say I'm about an average player at best.
I'm pretty average as well. I made a chess.com account on a whim not too long ago to play some games with a Soul Calibur buddy of mine. And we had watched The Queen's Gambit sometime before, and it did kind of, I was like, chess is cool, and maybe I'll try to play again. And now I'm getting I'll watch chess videos on YouTube, people are really good at the game, Hikaru and Magnus Carlsen and people like that. And it's pretty interesting, but I don't know. I don't know.
Chess became really popular lately online, like on Twitch and stuff. Like a previous guest a while ago, he brought up, chess is huge, and like chess players on Twitch have become like stars. Like it's really interesting. I think that's cool. Chess for me was never a game where I wanted to take the time to learn all like the, what do you call them, like the gambits and like all like
openings
and whatever. Like maybe one day, like never say never, because I do like the game. That's a game I've ever since I was like a little kid. I always liked chess, but I never knew it well enough to be like, yes, I'm a proficient player by any means. But
I remember years ago, I think it was I was living in New York City at the time, so I've been in like my 20s or so, and would play it quite a bit. And I remember playing one of those, what do you call them? Those players who like will sit at a game in the park or whatever. Who you pay them or whatever, and you can, and they're usually quite good. And I remember playing against one of them, and I did pretty good, but he did beat me. And then I think we did a speed round, and just stomped me into the ground. Oh, those Blitz games, I can do okay if I have unlimited time to think, but with a clock, it's very different. It's a very different game for me.
Yeah. Anything, any sort of hobby or anything that you've kind of fallen into, Erica, lately?
I don't know if I'd call it a hobby. I mean, it's just, I guess video games could be a hobby, but
Final Fantasy XIV.
Final Fantasy XIV is definitely taken over my life, in the sense that like a lot of it is it's a good stress reliever for me. Because it's definitely one of those games where you can kind of get lost and absorbed into the world. And I've had friends I've been playing it with, because it is an MMO. So it's just better to play with people. Sure. So I've made friends with people that were like adjacent to my friends, but they're not in the industry, which is also kind of different for me, because a lot of my friends are voice actors or in the industry. So it becomes pretty hard to like not have all your conversations revolve around work. Because for me, I'm not a super interesting person, if I'm going to be honest, just because I don't do a lot of like things that most people do talk about. Like, I don't drink, so I can't go out and socialize. I can't go out and socialize at like a bar and stuff, but I'm not going to like, totally open all inhibitions like I guess people do when they get drunk. I don't know. But so I don't do stuff like that. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't watch a lot of TV, even like cartoons, which is kind of more where my interest lies. I don't watch a lot of those anymore. I fall behind in video games a lot, but 14 is just something I've been playing since A Realm Reborn beta. which was like, gosh, 10 years ago almost,
Okay.
if not. So I've been playing very much on and off, and I think lately is the most I've ever played since I've gotten the game consecutively. So yeah, I've been playing with a lot of people. I'm all caught up, but there's still like tons of stuff to do before like the next actual new content comes out. So yeah, that's just a lot of what I've been doing.
Just a circle. Sophie, can I help you?
Sophie,
come say hi.
Oh, please don't come say hi. Just to circle back, that you think you're not an interesting person. I don't think that's true. Because I've met people who aren't interesting.
Oh, no.
And it's funny that you're like, I don't drink. I'm like, oh yes, because drinking makes you.
No, but you know what I mean.
No,
though.
I'm teasing.
Because like there's a lot of people who will like they'll so there are some people that are I think more open to like hanging out with people that will go out to a bar with them and kind of just like shoot the shit, you know?
Sure.
And I never get invited to that stuff, even though I would sit there, you know, I don't necessarily like the atmosphere, but I would sit there and talk to people, you know, if it came to that, like,
Sure.
but I just don't partake in the actual like drinking portion of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do get uncomfortable in those situations, but I don't know.
Gotcha.
I you know, kind of there are times when I will just kind of like let go of my feelings and just kind of do something regardless of if I like it or not. But a lot of people don't give me that opportunity, which is fair because I have turned down a lot of invitations to go places. So I don't blame people necessarily, but it's still nice to be invited, I guess.
No, yeah, I agree. It's nice to be invited to things.
It's nice.
I know I can relate because like I don't drink. For me, it's for health reasons, but also I didn't really drink much before that anyway. So it didn't change much in my life. But
I have a lot of like personal reasons and stuff too. So like family reasons and all that. But
sure. Yeah, and I don't think anybody needs to justify. You know, some people just like
exactly. Yeah.
I don't feel like drinking. Yeah, I think that's totally fine. I was gonna say though, it is nice to not have all your friends in the same industry that you work in. Like
it's been a while for me.
Yeah, I think another guest was also talking about how she had like a similar sort of like all her friends are voice actors or whatever. Yeah. And in my mind, and I think I might even said, I was like, sounds like a nightmare.
It kind of is. Like I love all of my friends, but it's just so much like, and I do this too because I kind of get caught up in the moment, you know. But it's just like so much is talking about like, oh, these like vague auditions that I got. Let's talk about those just to kind of like see what everybody's doing to make sure you got the thing, or like, oh, you know, this project or that project, and like I was in this thing and like blah 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 whatever. And then, you know, I've become a little bit more conscious of that over the years, just because I know, you know, for me specifically, like there aren't a lot of people that were kind of thrust into the same situation I was thrust into when I started. Like I was moving very, very fast. I don't know how, I don't know why. Because I had a lot of learning to do, you know, when I first started, regardless of what people thought of like if I was talented or not. But I did kind of shoot up really fast. As far as like booking things went, and that doesn't happen to a lot of people, so I became very conscious very fast about how people felt about that, that weren't working as much or like weren't working on the same things, and would get very upset about it. So I try to be conscious about like talking about things unless people are already talking about that same thing or like a similar thing, because the last thing I want to do is make somebody feel bad because they're not getting, you know, the same opportunities that I've been fortunate enough to get.
Right.
And I know a lot of friends that feel that way.
Yeah. It's like you don't necessarily want to, not that this is your intention, but sometimes it can come off as like humble bragging almost, right?
Exactly.
And that's something that, you know, I'm also very conscious of, like I like to think anyway that when we talk, I'm not just like, hey guys, want to hear all the cool things that I'm in?
Yeah. Like, occasionally it'll come up, but like it's gotta be natural,
and when it comes up,
you know?
it comes up, right? But like, you know, otherwise though, you know, I think I've said this before on the podcast, but people I'm always drawn to people as like a friend by oh, what are your interests or personality, that sort of thing. And I kind of I don't want to say don't give a shit, but I'm like, you know, I'm not.
I get
like,
it though. Like, I don't want to be your friend just because we work in the same industry.
Exactly. For
we
me,
don't
it's like,
know each other that well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get like a similar vibe off of you that feels like we, you know, maybe we could get to know each other and all that, but then like we can be friends. Like, we're not just automatically friends because we're all actors, you know.
Right. Like,
it's like normal people, you know,
yeah, like
normal people things, God forbid.
I think
usually I'll hear a thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna. For me, I think it really depends on how the topic is framed. You know, is it being discussed in terms of, hey, let me tell you about this thing because I want you to know how great I am, how personally I am, and how cool I am, or are they bringing it up because it's like I just have a sincere passion for this craft, or the work, or, you know.
Oh no, Lucien, you and I have had like conversations till like 6 a.m. about this acting.
we have.
Yeah, it's I know what you mean, for sure. Yeah.
No.
And there's a difference between like showboating and dick measuring.
Yeah.
And like, I like talking about acting because I love acting. That's
exactly,
that's a different thing. Yeah.
Well, my thing is like, I don't know if maybe this is always people's intentions, but I kind of hone in on when it feels like people are trying to impress me or to get on my level. And I don't think people need to do that because I'm not really
instant turn
just
off.
Because like I work like doesn't mean like I think that I'm hot shit, you know, like I don't need anyone to feel like they need to put themselves on whatever my level is.
Sure.
Because I don't think anything special of it. Like, it's cool that I've been in cool things, but like deep down, like I just want to be treated like a normal person. I don't want to feel like I'm at a convention when I'm talking to other actors, you know?
Yeah.
I don't need anyone to impress me. Like, it's cool. You do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. Like, they're totally separate of each other and they don't need to mix, you know, like there's nothing that needs to mix there. It's like everyone's on their own path. Everyone goes their own speed, whether they, you know, want it that way or not. Unfortunately, like that's just how things work. But
well, it ties slightly into what we were talking about before, as far as sometimes we might feel a little out of sorts or awkward in certain social situations. For me, one of the most awkward or tricky to navigate situations are industry parties, because most of the time, it's there's a bar, people are drinking. I also don't drink. That's just based purely on taste. It's just not for me. But typically people kind of find the people they know, understandable, and if people do kind of interact, there's always like it feels like there's an inclination to be like, so what are you in, and anything, or I need to tell you about, again, the cool stuff that I've been doing so that you know that I'm worthy in this industry, and it just it feels contrived, and I don't like it. I don't know how to deal with that stuff. I'm pretty shy.
It's suffocating. Like I can understand also the impulse, right? Because I think with a lot of actors there's an insecurity, right? Of like, I need to prove myself. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like I know what that was like what it felt like. And I think for me, just over time, I just became more I don't know, first off, just comfortable with myself, and also you
just stop giving a fuck after a while.
You just stop giving a fuck after a while. It's like, I work, whatever. But I was gonna say something earlier.
Not to like put that lightly either, though, but
sure.
I get what you mean.
I'm very grateful. I mean, for it, but it's also like, I was gonna say something earlier. Like, usually what piques my interest, like a fucking cake. No, piques my interest is like, I hear someone mention a board game, like, you play board games, or someone I know will say something about an anime. I'm like, oh shit, that's like a deep cut. Like, oh wait, what do you watch? Like, that to me is infinitely more interesting, and more likely for me to be like, hey, like, okay, maybe I want to get to know this person a little better, because I love, I'm very passionate about my interests, my hobbies. I love games. I love, anime. I love all sorts of things. I mean, Erica and Lucien to an extent, I believe, but we've just talked about Japanese voice actors for like hours, right? That's just like a niche interest of mine. But if I get a sniff of like, oh, so and so, oh shit, like I love to dive into that. And I mean, that's also kind of what this whole podcast is about, is like me just talking about shit that I like to people I like or want to get to know.
No, we've talked about Japanese voice actors for sure. We must have, because I forget if I've told you this. When I was first starting out, I knew way more about Seiyu than American voice actors. I could tell you like, oh yeah, the cast of Evangelion, so that's Megumi Ogata, and you got Tachiki Fumihiko, and then Miyamura Yuko, and just rattle off the cast right there, and everyone, and like, let's talk about Otsuka Akio and Yamadera Koichi, and oh man, aren't they so cool, and they sound, and the range that Yamadera has. I
he's
could just
insane.
Yeah, if that little burst there didn't communicate,
yeah,
I
exactly.
still have all of that.
Oh no, I don't mean to be like Lucien doesn't know his shit. No, because we've absolutely talked about it. You both are giant fucking nerds.
We're freaking
That's right.
nerds.
Yeah.
We talked about it. I think one of the first times we really talked at length was at that one convention.
Which
I want to say that we were both guests.
Was that the one in Ireland or no?
No.
We
was
were,
that before? Was that before the one?
Was
Maybe that was before the one.
Was that the one where we went out with Caitlin?
Yes, it was like Tennessee or Kansas or I don't remember where.
Which one we went out.
Georgia.
We went out to dinner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget.
And it was like,
con.
I think it was like hard to find a place too, because it was like everything closed really early.
That's
or
right.
Something
That's
like
right.
that.
But I'm good at finding restaurants, so I found something pretty good. That was pretty good food. Actually,
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, no, we definitely, and we had we still knew each other pretty well.
We knew each other, but I think this is before we were like actually hanging out. I think.
I see. Okay, the
timeline
is fuzzy.
It's very fuzzy.
Yeah, of course. I like Lucien texted me not that long. It was like months ago at this point, but it was he was like, "Oh, there's this anime. Is that somebody doing Norio Wakamoto?" I was like, "I think that is Norio Wakamoto."
Yes, I think it did turn out to be him.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. So, I guess, are there any things like sort of niche interests like that you think people might not realize about either of you?
Niche interest.
Yeah. Because Seiyu is pretty niche, like even amongst weebs. Yeah.
One. Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy, like, as frustrating as it is, I like when we get new furniture and stuff, I'm usually the one who builds it. Because I don't know, I just find sometimes, like I said, it is frustrating because I often do it wrong. I'm not very good at it, but I just like doing it, like putting together furniture, like cheap IKEA furniture, and like I put together our bed frame and pretty much everything that is in our house, like I put together by myself. So.
Anne Marie does the same thing, actually.
I don't know. It's just this is, and Lucien sometimes, he'll be like, "Oh, can I help with anything?" And I'm just like, "No, I'm fine."
That's exactly
I just do it myself.
I'm like, do you need help? She'll usually need my help for like maybe like lifting or something, but otherwise she's got.
I can't ask Lucien for that, unfortunately. He is a very small man.
Well, she other than that though, Anne Marie is usually like, "Yeah, no, I'm fine." Like, I'm like, "Sure, you got it. I'll probably fuck it up anyway." Now, did you ever get into Legos as a kid? Because it seems like it's just like adult Legos.
I did. I was more of like a Legos kid than a Barbie kid. So I mean, I did have Barbies because gender stereotypes and all that shit. Mm-hmm. But Legos was kind of more my jam.
Did you have a favorite theme?
There weren't really themes when I was a kid, or if there were, I didn't really know about them.
You're talking to a Lego expert right now.
Did you ever build the pirate ship?
I don't think I had themes. I just had like bricks.
You
and
were
like
just
a few
like
people.
Only the bricks, not even like minifigures or. Oh shit.
I mean, there were minifigures, but I don't think. I mean, I guess they must have been from some kind of set, but I don't remember a particular set.
Because city is like kind of like the generic, like it's a building.
Maybe I don't know. I really don't remember.
it's like a creepypasta. We go back and they're just faceless minifigures.
They're just, I mean, they may have been actually.
And Erica, it's
ones.
like, Erica, you just played with nothing. Like, you just, we just didn't know what to tell you.
They weren't Legos at all. They were just bugs.
They were just
you
bugs.
were just crushing together.
Bugs
you weird
piling
person.
into a pyramid.
It's got very salad fingers very quickly.
Ew.
I was gonna say, like, Legos is another niche. Like, I have a kind of encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of Lego themes up to a certain point. But I guess I had like Lego magazine and everything, and I've talked to guests on the podcast before about it. But it's like that and like. Oh god, I have a lot of just weird, stupid shit like piled up in my mind. Sesame Street lore, from the 80s and
okay.
90s. Oh, what?
No, I'm just, I've never known anyone
You do now.
like that.
Yeah. Just because I had so many books and tapes as a kid, so I just know all these like.
Do you make like Sesame Street conspiracy theories?
Oh, okay. I'm not in the fandom. I'm not in the Sesame Street. I'm not currently in the fandom.
Did you have a neighbor on Sesame Street that you created for yourself?
Oh,
Your Sesame Street persona?
my Sesame Sona, my Sesona.
Yeah.
No, I did not. It's more so like I just know like obscure just shit about it that like the normal person has no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh, sure, yeah.
This is why Ernie is actually dead and has been a ghost the whole time. Here's all the evidence, episodic, of why this is true.
Yeah. So now that I've shared several embarrassing ones of mine and you guys have nothing to give, okay, that's great. Lucian, you have nothing.
Okay, no, you know what? I have to ask this.
I don't
What's
know.
up?
So you both play with action figures when you were young?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I'm wondering if you did this. So, I used to get a lot of different kinds, right? You had like Street Fighter action figures, you had the Mortal Kombat ones, you had
You
I don't
have
even
fancy
know.
ones.
Fancy? I don't know
Those
if
are
I'd say those are
fancy.
fancy, but just from a lot of different types of franchises, shall we
Okay.
say.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I used to invent like storylines and skits for these characters that had nothing to do with who the characters actually were. I would just say, okay, so the Shang Tsung one, he's like the Mr. Miyagi character, and he's teaching Ryu, in martial arts. And then
Did you know who the characters were before playing with them?
Yes.
But
I did,
but regardless, you would just give them completely new roles.
Roles, exactly. Yeah, completely new storylines. And sometimes they could be very elaborate, and they would span, like a whole season's worth of episodes. I had very elaborate imagination.
No. I played in a similar way, actually.
Okay, yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily be, though, with existing characters. Oftentimes, I would just have a lot of toys where I didn't even know what they were from, right? Like, either from garage sales or... In fact, there was one on, like, Twitter, like, a couple, like, at this point, like, a year ago. I was like, hey, what the fuck is this? I described the toy on Twitter, and then, for me, the only good thing about having lots of Twitter followers is it's my own personal Yahoo Answers. So I can be like, hey, Twitter, I'm going to describe this toy from the 80s. What is it? And then someone was like, it is exactly this. And I was like, oh my God, this has a name.
I remember you did that with a song, and somebody
I
used
did it with
the
a song.
was.
And did you see the result
like,
of that? What
the
it was
frick?
from? It was
It was like some Dr. Seuss thing, wasn't it?
There was that one. That was another one. That one was like, that was okay. It's fucking crazy, the internet. So like, I don't know how people survived before the internet, where it's like, oh, what is that thing? I don't know. I'll just die never knowing. Whereas for me, it's like the most obscure, like 8-note melody. I was like, wait, okay, what the hell is this from? And someone's like, it's from this scene in this Dr. Seuss read-along tape from the 90s.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, thank you. There was that one. There was another one where this one was even crazier, where it was from I was like, okay, it's a line, and the line was like, mice everywhere, scritch and scratch and eat. It's a really horrifying like little sequence, and it always stuck with me as a kid. And I was like, what is this from? And it turns out it was from a version of Maurice Sendak's The Nutcracker, and it was an orchestral version that was only on tape from the Minnesota Orchestra or something like So you had to
Oh
have been
my
a kid
God.
in Minnesota and watched this tape in your school of the Marie Sendak's The Nutcracker Orchestra. I was like, I cannot believe.
How did you even know it, though?
Because I grew up in Minnesota. I was born in Minnesota.
Oh, I thought you were...
Michigan?
Born and raised
Yeah.
in Michigan?
No. I born in Minnesota, lived there till middle school, moved to Michigan, lived there for a long time.
Gotcha. Okay, I thought you were like Michigan for life.
No. And so, yeah, that also explains why I could never find it, because there'd be like every couple of years, no joke, I'd be like, oh, this popped in my head. Okay, what is this from? And I would Google it, and no one would know. But then on the most recent search, there was like a TV tropes thread, if you're familiar with that website, where somebody referenced it. I was like, oh my God, wait. Okay, what? And then I because somebody else had the same question of like, there's this sequence and it goes like this. What is it from? And nobody could help them. But I was like, it exists. I'm not a crazy person. This is something that actually exists. And then I decided to go to Twitter, and that happened. Why are we talking about this? Oh, because of the toy thing. Because of the... somebody identified this toy I had as a kid. It was like this like Robo Cat or whatever, and I thought that toy was so badass, and I forget so I would just give these toys names and roles, and like you said, they would have storylines over seasons, right? Like, oh, this is the season finale, like, oh, this character kills this character. Oh, that's such a dramatic like thing. How about you, Erica? Did you ever play with your toys in that fashion?
I mean, I feel like that's just honestly the boy or the more creative person equivalent of playing house, which I did as a child.
Okay.
Definitely not as elaborate.
Yours was the slice of life show. The slice of life.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, which is funny because like I constantly say like I'm just dumb. I don't know enough, I don't have enough vocabulary or words in my vocabulary. And, it just takes me a while to like process things a lot of time. But I used to actually be in like a gifted school program way back when.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got so lazy that I eventually like kind of classed out of it because I just didn't want to do it anymore. Not because I was too dumb or too smart. I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Sure.
I was just tired of it.
Yeah.
So like, but I consider myself like someone who, like, because even for me, like I used to be really big into art. I thought I was going to be an animator. I went to school for animation.
Sure.
Eventually was like, this is too hard. I can't do this. Because for me, like I have an easier time drawing when I'm looking at stuff instead of like drawing from memory. So I think that's just kind of like where my cognitive level is.
I see.
I can't create my own things necessarily. That's why I'm so scared of like, not that I'm scared, I'm also just not interested in doing D&D. But I just have never been somebody to kind of like really create my own like storylines for stuff. I'd rather have like a schematic there for me.
Sure.
And kind of build
like
off
a template,
that.
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So like I think that's why voiceover is kind of more my, I think, creative realm because, well, I mean, I guess when you're not doing anime though, or something that's like a new IP, you kind of have to create it yourself in a way more so than you would normally. But like, I just like having, like you said, a template there to kind of build off of.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that stuff kind of comes easier to me than anything else.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think more my playtime would come from like, just like building things, or like crafts and stuff. I used to make a lot of those. Do you remember that? Like, I think they probably still make it. There was like, they would sell you sand, like colored sand, and you could put it in like jars and stuff and make candles or like little sculptures or something.
I never did it, but I saw the commercials for that. Yeah.
I used to do those all the time. So I would do stuff like that. And I was into cosplay for a while. So I would like, but I wasn't very good at it. Okay. So I would like sew these shitty costumes, or like if I needed props, I think this is before all the fancy stuff came out that's like easier to obtain at this point. But I would like take toilet paper rolls and make like, I made a keyblade out of toilet paper rolls, duct tape, and cardboard for a Halloween costume once. Sora, of course.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Like the original Kingdom Key.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was bad. I didn't have a wig and I had long hair at the time. So it was bad, but I did it.
That's what's
I don't have
important.
pictures.
I was like, if you had pictures,
I do not have
please show
pictures.
me.
No.
It sounds like you very hands-on,
Yeah.
like sort of like working with stuff, creating like a stuff from crafty. Yeah, I was dog shit at that. I was so any art class, I was just terrible. Lucian, were you good at arts and crafts?
I was fairly artsy. I mean, I went to the middle school I went to. We had painting and drawing, and yeah, like I wasn't gonna be doing any fantastic still art or anything like that. But yeah, I think I at least dabbled in all of that stuff. I mean, now, I can't draw anything that needs to look accurate. Erica headed these, well, back when we could do conventions, obviously. Erica would head these panels. What were they called?
It was like just drawing with voice
Drawing
actors
with
or
voice
something.
actors, and it was
That's
like,
the thing
here,
where you
we'll-
like draw the characters that they
right,
voiced
like
or
here's a
whatever?
character,
Yeah.
here's a character. I'll
Yeah,
describe it
yeah.
and draw it, and my entries would always get ideally a good chortle.
That's kind of the idea of it too, though. Like you didn't have to be good at it. It was
I
just
was
kind
never
of
like
something that wasn't the
I didn't
typical
mind.
voiceover panel.
Yeah.
That kind of filled an hour because I was tired of answer questions.
But yeah,
Sure,
I
sure.
still have drawings somewhere of just like these really just abstract kind of patterns and shapes and interweaving and going into a vortex or something, and then these little like creatures like climbing along the edges. I don't know, just abstract stuff. I remember when I was in college, I would be in classes and just be bored out of my mind, and the only way to just kind of keep myself like awake was just to like do these doodles, scribbles.
Oh yeah, I used to do similar things. Yeah. I would do like, God, this is so specific, but I would do like, you ever make like little mazes on like notebook paper? I used to do that just out of boredom, like make little mazes or, just shit like that. Now, you kind of brought up something that like could be kind of maybe an interesting sort of topic to end on, and I'll start with, so you bring up sort of, you get tired of being asked the same questions of voiceover and all that. Is there anything about voiceover or acting or whatever that you're like, you do wish or would want to talk about, or like you do think would be interesting to discuss, or is at this point just like, whatever? Does either of you have any reaction to like what is something about like that we could talk about that is voiceover or acting related that you actually are never asked and or would enjoy or think is interesting to talk about?
Yeah. I guess just gotta start off like, we do get asked a lot of the same questions over and over again. It's not necessarily like I'll answer them, if they're asked to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, why would you, you're sitting here for an hour. Why would you, waste your time here to ask a question that like you can easily find on the internet or in some other interview or whatever, when you
Sure.
could ask literally anything else.
Yeah.
Or like, say whatever is on your mind or whatever, whatever have you.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I guess a lot of the stuff I feel like people should know about the industry is just stuff that like, maybe I'm not necessarily as comfortable talking about publicly, which is like, I don't know. It's just sometimes it's a very like emotionally draining thing that like I don't think a lot of people think about like the mental strain
Sure.
that sometimes you can get from it depending on what kind of person you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, granted, I've come to the point where I'm just like, whatever, I'm auditioning for this thing. If I get it, cool. If I don't, great. But every once in a while there's a project that comes out that I auditioned for that I'm like, oh man, this looks cool. This is something I enjoy. It'd be really cool to be in this. And then like, it's always up in the air of whether or not you're going to book it. Most of the time you're not going to book it.
Right.
And it sucks, but
it's kind of somebody I think recently, I guess, was talking about you kind of, you can't. A lot of people have trouble detaching themselves from something
Yeah.
that used to be purely their hobby, like just for fun hobby, right? Like if you watch anime or play games now as an actor, and part of you is like, but why didn't I get like sides for this, or like why didn't I? And like I wish I, blah blah blah, like yeah, I think that's a very valid sort of thing that isn't really discussed, right? I think a lot of it's so the glorified aspects of the job are what's focused on and what people
Yeah.
are like constantly wanting to get, but there is like a sort of like you said, sort of a strain, I guess, in
Yeah,
that
there
regard.
definitely can be. And it pops up, for some people more often than others, for sure. This is like a lot of why, I just made a post on Twitter pretty recently, where I was like, hey, you can talk about more than just work on Twitter, because,
Sure.
you're a real person and your life does not revolve around work.
Yeah.
And a lot of that just comes from, granted, it's, your Twitter, you can post whatever you want on it, I guess. But
Sure.
for me, it's like, it helps me mentally not to talk about work as much as possible,
Yeah.
because, I don't want to be that person who's like vague tweeting or whatever, and then have people ask me about stuff that, I could have prevented them from asking about
Sure.
from not posting what I posted. And just like, I had somewhere I was going with that, and I don't quite remember.
I think
where
also
exactly.
it's good to have a balance, right?
Yeah.
Just in general. And then not even just on Twitter, but life, right? Like
No, for
getting
sure.
too focused on work is not good. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like it's good to be, driven and, wanting to, progress in your career and and to be proud of what you do. That's a good thing, but it also potentially putting too much of your sort of either self-worth or your mental like well-being and like general like mood on work or relating it to work is not a good thing.
Yeah.
So I can see where you're coming from.
Oh, I think, I remember where I was kind of going with it. It's like, just the people, whether they're, I guess there's no other way to really describe it other than like, because this is kind of just what voice actor Twitter has described it as, like being a professional voice actor and like an amateur voice actor or whatever. Regardless, like if you're working, you're working, that's just what it is.
I agree.
But the whole thing about people being like, oh man, it's like my dream to be in like such and such thing, or like I want to be this specific character, and it's like, for me, like I don't want to throw that out into the universe.
Yeah.
Because especially publicly, because one, like most of the time you don't get what you want.
Yep.
Let's be real here.
Right.
And two, like if you're throwing that out for other people to see, like that's kind of, it feels, for me personally, I think that's shitty for the person who does book it if you don't book it.
Yeah.
Because then you've got all these people who are like, oh man, yeah, actually you'd be great as this. You'd be awesome. And then you have people comparing the person who
Right.
did get it to you and be like, oh man, it'd be so much, what would have been like if the person who said they wanted it got it, and all
Sure.
this stuff. So I feel like that just puts like a weird air around it, and
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know why anyone would want to do that to somebody just for their own selfish thing.
It's kind of an unprofessional vibe too, in
And
general.
yeah, I mean, I get why people do it, because it's like, a lot of us are fans of it, but for me, I keep thinking about how, like, man, this job would be so much easier if I just did not care about any of this.
It's like, what's
Being an
this
anime fan,
Japanimation? I don't know.
a video game
Cool.
fan as a voice actor
Yeah.
is just so hard. It's very hard.
I get that. How about you, Lucien? Is there either anything to add to that discussion or anything about voiceover you want to bring up that you
Well-
think is not usually that would be interesting to talk about?
I mean, I'm freakishly passionate, obsessed, however you want to qualify it, about voice acting, and I can, I can take even a rather run-of-the-mill question about it, and probably, this could go on for another hour, I bet,
Sure.
if I wanted it to. But yeah, is for people who want to do it, I have to be honest, and I do tutor or teach. You know, I do private lessons from time to time. I haven't had nearly that time lately because I've been basically full-time voice directing, which actually I would like to talk about in just a bit. But when when I hear people talk about wanting to get into this or being a voice actor, as much as I love it personally, and this was always a thing I was gonna just move mountains to make happen for me. It's really hard for me. I can't honestly recommend anyone get into this because I know personally how much emotional turmoil and just shit I've endured and agonized over, and I just can't ask anyone else to put themselves through that unless they must do this, and that's the price they have to pay. But because I know how hard it is and just how, again, mentally draining and excruciating it can be, I just can't be like, yes, absolutely, please, you should absolutely do this. Please come and pursue this craft and be poor for a long time, and it won't happen for you for probably a while, and you'll doubt everything about your life and whether you should have done this in the first place. And yeah, you should absolutely go down that road. I just can't do that. But what I always say is like, look, if you're really passionate about this and you're willing to put in the work and you understand that it's going to be really hard, and maybe, there's no guarantees, maybe it won't work for you, but if you're willing to give it everything you've got to make it work, then yes, and you can't see yourself being as happy doing anything else than this, then sure, yeah, you should go for it. But I just can't, just kind of with a blasé attitude, like, yeah, no problem, it's fine.
I think you put it even slightly nicer than I usually tell people. I tell people, I at this point, I just tell people, you have to be able to do this or try to go for this fully knowing there is no guarantee of your success ever. You may put every fiber of your being into this, and the odds are stacked against you, and it may never happen. And if you're okay with that, and you still want it, and also you got to start doing it. Start doing it, and
right now.
Start doing it right. I mean, yes, like start working towards it right now.
Yeah.
Not this like, oh, like, what should I do? What should I do? You're asking for an easy. There's no easy answer. There is no way to do it. Right? There are things you can do to, get yourself closer, but even then there's no guarantee. I always emphasize to people, because I get asked about voiceover, I get asked about YouTube, which is even crazier. Like, there's no guarantee you will ever succeed. And if you are fine with that and still want to do it, then you'll know.
Yeah.
And if you I've seen people that I know personally who like they start like kind of actually pursuing it, and they see just how crushing it is.
Yeah.
And then they go, I don't actually want this. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. No. I think that is you tried and you are honest with yourself, and there is no need to push yourself if you just are like, I don't enjoy this. Like for me though, I think I was in a very, very similar position as you, Lucien, where for me it was like, every fiber of my being, right? I am going to do everything I can. Everything is going to be for this. And even then it took a very long time.
Yeah. And certainly by, putting everything behind it as you can, it certainly will improve your chances, right?
Yes.
But again, like you said, even then, those are improved chances. That's not guarantee.
It's improved chances, and then it's like, hey, you're in the industry now? Cool. Compete against every other voice actor you know.
Right. Like, doing this for 30 years longer than
people don't think about that part. Like they think, oh, I got in the booth and I recorded, and now I'm just gonna all the roles, I'm gonna get them.
Let it roll in.
It's like I always tell people, like, even like not even like there's like sort of the online space of voiceover, and that is already a fierce competitive circuit, right? There are extremely talented people on who are just doing like online like auditions and that sort of thing. And if you can't compete in that, I always tell people, start there. Like, can you compete against these people? Because they are amazing. And a lot of them just don't want to live in LA or whatever, and I totally get that. And so they are working their asses off, and they are just as talented, and they are on this sphere. Can you compete with them? Then no. Then maybe you want to reconsider.
Well, I think a lot of people have to understand too, like, the best person for the job isn't always going to get the job. Sometimes
That's true too. Yes.
Somebody who isn't good for the job gets the job because there's all sorts of like reasons
Outside
behind
factors.
that I can't even fully explain myself. And, you know, that's fine. Like, I mean, I think we can all be happy for people that book. Like, for me, like, I don't think there's ever been a time where I've been like, oh man, I should have gotten that instead. I'm usually like, oh, okay, interesting choice. Sure. You know, I'll keep that in mind or whatever, you know, for other jobs that I happen to do or all that stuff. But there's no like surefire way of like knowing what exactly is going to get cast, because it
That's
can
the
be
thing.
completely different than what they ask for.
And
Sure.
so much of that is outside of our control, which I think is a
Yeah.
thing that a lot of, you know, aspiring actors need to make peace with real as soon as possible, is the
Yep.
fact that, you know, you have things that are within your control, which is your own craft and working on that, and your skill and mental health and, you know, stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
there's stuff that is not in your control, which is a lot in this industry, and you, who gets picked in the end and for what reasons. And
Right.
if you torture yourself over stuff that is not in your control, you are going to be tortured.
And for a bad
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You're going to
It's
have a bad time.
You're going to want to feel like you want to quit at least once, whether you were working or
I
not.
definitely have. I've definitely, even as passionate as I am, there have definitely been points where I've thought, oh man, I don't know if I'm good enough for this. I think maybe this isn't the thing for me, and I don't know. Is it worth it for me to keep going? And then, you know, there was always something that was like, no, it's, you know, just, you still love it. You know, you remember the thing or you do it in a different capacity, and you remember, oh yeah, you know, this is a lot of fun, and that spark that keeps you going. But like you were saying earlier, if you get to that point and it's just like not worth it, if there's nothing, if you don't have that thing that makes it worthwhile, there's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, I think I'm gonna find something else, because it's not for everyone. Not everyone should be doing this. I know it feels like anyone or everyone can do this, but, you know, that's just not the reality.
Not at all. Yeah.
I mean, I've had a couple of very humbling experiences where, you know, there was one time where my agent at the time accidentally CC'd all of the talent that was getting that audition, and I'm looking through going, holy shit, like, you know, this person, you know, is reading on it, and this, you know, these greats of the industry. I'm like, oh my God. And then, you know, a on-site audition where I, you know, ran into these, again, luminaries of the business, and I'm just like, oh my God, you know, I'm just feeling totally outclassed, but you got to find, I don't know, you got to take some solace or confidence in your individual, you know, your uniqueness, your
Yes.
perspective as a talent, and that you know, have a take on things that no one else is going to have, and you know, still humbly knowing so many talented people are out there, but that you are also worthwhile. And I think if you don't have that core to hold on to, it's really rough. It's, you know, you just get you know, that tidal wave will just blow you right over. You'll lose sight of yourself and why you're doing this.
Sure.
Yeah.
You also earlier mentioned you wanted to talk about directing.
Oh yeah. So yeah, again, like I have no intentions of to stop voice acting, you know, until the industry decides, you know, like, yeah, enough of that, and it carries me kicking and screaming out. but not until then. But yeah, in the meantime, though, I have been voice directing more. I'm currently directing Yashahime, which is a lot of fun. Voice directing, I've found it's very exhausting. It uses up every ounce of me, but it's very rewarding as well. And I think a good reason for that is partly why I kind of got into voiceover, or at least why at the time I had the desire to get into voice acting, because I thought I was watching anime dubs at the time, and some of them were fun, but then others little rocky.
Yeah.
A little rocky, and I'm like, oh man, I feel like this could have been better, and maybe if I started doing this, I feel like maybe I could raise the bar perhaps in this area, and I've found as a talent, as a actor, again, talking about what's within your control and what's not,
right,
you can only do so much for the product, right? And you're collaborating with a team there and the director, but what I found as a voice director, and it's still true, you still, there's going to be certain things due to time or budgetary constraints. It's just never going to be as perfect or whatever that means exactly as you would like. But at the very least, I've found being a voice director on certain projects, I do have, it feels like, a little more influence, or I can encourage a certain atmosphere that will bolster the product, and aim for a certain standard that is ideal for me. And I find that very rewarding. And of course, working with my colleagues, and it's every day, every actor is different. It's always like a interesting puzzle, is figuring out what kind of language or terms or imagery do I evoke here? Do I go with more visceral stuff, or do I go with kind of technical direction? Is it better to say, so I need you to remember the pain of, losing your loved one, and that it swells up inside you, and I need it to really, or do you just say, louder?
Yeah. Can you project? Thank you. All right.
Yeah, cool. Just need it bigger. Yeah, need it louder. Yeah, scream it. Yeah, cool. Okay, sounds great. Because both can be valid. It just kind of depends. Certain actors work in different ways. So it's been fun, and I certainly would not mind doing more. It's just, it is a lot, and has been a lot. And then scheduling, acting in between is been a process. But I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it very much. And the other thing I try to do, I feel like we've all, right? We've all worked with directors who are really awesome. We have a great time with. We feel great about the work at the end. And then there are directors we've worked with, no names, where it's like, well, that was a job, or that was don't appreciate maybe as much, their individual approach, So in my mind, there's almost like a little blueprint of like, or what's the term? There's like there's a sheet with a line down, and there's like things that I like that voice directors do.
Like a rule set, right?
Like, and then things that I don't like. You have a bad session,
you're like, I don't want to be this director.
Right, exactly. So, exactly. I'm like, okay, so everything that director did, don't do that when I direct.
Sure.
And that's kind of I try to put all that together. And does it work out all the time? And am I sometimes confusing or unhelpful? Yeah. Yeah, but we're not perfect, and the fact that I'm trying, it matters to me. So
yeah. How about you, Erica? You voice direct as well. Anything to add to that, or?
I mean, no. I think Lucien kind of nailed it on the head. I think I like directing less than he does.
Okay.
I've never found myself.
You also like people less.
That's true. I do. I think it's been worse too, just doing it over recordings and all that. Just because, yeah, it takes up so much time that you aren't, recompensated for. And a lot of it's not your fault, as the director, because just, it's not even the actor's fault or even the engineer's fault a lot of the time too. It's just you're dealing with the mercy of the internet.
Right.
And since everyone in LA has Spectrum, it's an issue. Because we have no choice. But even like doing it normally, it's just like Lucien said, it just takes out so much of your day. And I'm used to like voice actor schedule at this point where like I can kind of, choose my hours, and I'm a freelancer, so I don't work every day necessarily. And I like having the free time. It's like, sure, directing is like a neat skill to have, and, a little bit more money in your pocket for the month or whatever, but I don't know, it's just not as fulfilling for me.
It doesn't scratch the same itch that like acting does.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless it's like, if it's a really good project. Like I had a really good time doing the movie I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. But I also like just enjoyed that movie before. Like I was interested in before. So it's got to be a project that I have some kind of interest in, because otherwise it's like just a chore. Where does script, because you do like script adaptation too, right? Or where does that fall? Is that in the same camp as like do you have more passion for that versus directing, or less passion, or where does that sort of fall? I would say I have more passion for adapting, just because I usually find more issues with adaptation scripts than I do with directing. Sure. So I know a good script can kind of save what would have otherwise been a bad dub. Yes. So the script is definitely a big part of the puzzle, and I wouldn't call myself like a writer necessarily. I'm not even an English major. I don't have very good grammar some of the time, and I have to question a lot of stuff that I do write down, because I'm like, is this even English? Like, is this where you would put this? I don't know. Is it colloquial? I have no idea. But writing to character, I think is important and interesting, and not a lot of people do it. They'll just like whatever fits the flaps, and it's like, no, that's not. It doesn't make a good product. And I get it, like you don't get paid a lot or as much as you should for script adaptation. So a lot of people just kind of fart it out in the like however many days that they have to do it, which a lot of the times is not a lot. But again, it's got to be something that I enjoy, because otherwise it's just a grind. It takes up so much of your time, so it just becomes tedious and annoying. If it's not, you're not getting anything out of it, Gotcha. Like most things, I guess. Yeah, no, but that totally makes sense. And as someone who doesn't do those and has had to deal with bad directing and bad scripts in the past, you do people a service. So that is I try. It's for the greater good. Your efforts, I'm sure, are not ignored, because that helps a lot of people. I try. I think we can probably wrap up here. Thanks for coming on, you two. It's always a pleasure. Where can people find you? We'll start with you, Erica. I am on the social medias. I check Twitter more than anything, where I am. You can find me at Sunderica, TSUNDERICA. I'm on Instagram as the same name, but I don't check it very often. So Twitter is usually the better bet for me. And Lucien?
Well, you can go to my website, which hasn't been updated in 9,000 years. I'm going to try to be better about that, which is luciendodge.com. I also have a Twitter, which is just Lucien Dodge, no special dots or spaces or anything like that. I usually post announcements about work. For me, I try to keep my Twitter designated for two things. It's either work announcements or completely nerdy shit. Shit posting. No.
Xenogears.
Xenogears, exactly. It's like 30% VO announcement, 10% general nerd talk, and then the rest is Xenogears. There's only Xenogears. Please, if you're listening, Square, please remaster